Welcome to the programme. Well, he's just hours away from ending his 8 years in exile, and former Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is vowing to challenge the man that ousted him, military leader and now President Pervez Musharraf. There are real fears, though, that it's a confrontation that could cause widespread violence. Sharif's party already claims that police have arrested 2,000 of his supporters and airports are on high alert. Our correspondent Kamal Haider has been gauging reaction from Sharif's home city of Lahore ahead of his return.
Stay in exile? No way, said the Sharif brothers in what promises to be a political thriller. Determined, ex-Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif says he will come home come what may. And no surprise therefore of unprecedented security in his hometown in Lahore, capital to the country's most populous and powerful of the provinces. Party workers are rounded up and the police are laying siege to all offices of the PMLN, Sharif's faction of the Muslim League. Thousands of security personnel have been deployed in the city of Lahore to prevent Nawaz Sharif and his brother Shahbaz Sharif from reaching this city. Hundreds of their supporters have been arrested, and already the party is claiming that they have not respected the sanctity of the houses of the political workers. Now the people of Lahore are saying that he has every right to come back as a citizen of this country. But the mood of the people has swung against the government, and many people say Nawaz should be allowed to return. Whether it is the young kids playing cricket in the park on a Sunday.
If Nawaz Sharif comes back, he will bring true democracy, and he is a true leader.
If the government stops Nawaz from reaching home, it is bound to lead to more trouble, and already security forces are bracing for what may be another important date in the country's checkered history of political turmoil. Kamal Haider, Al-Jazeera, Lahore.
Well, Sohail Rahman's been following the developments from Islamabad, and he has the details of what's likely to happen once Nawaz Sharif arrives in Pakistan.
Details are emerging of the travel plans of the former Prime Minister Mian Mohammad Nawaz Sharif, who's expected to arrive in Pakistan on Monday, the 10th of September. Now, he won't be flying in directly, he's not allowed to, but he will be flying in via the Middle East and arrive late morning. Now, it's expected that when he lands at Islamabad International, he'll be greeted by many well-wishers, thousands in fact, and he'll make his way, as he hopes, from the airport by road on the GT Trunk Road straight through to Lahore, his home base in the state of Punjab. Now, officials here are not saying exactly what they intend to do when he lands on Pakistani soil, but they have been threatening to arrest him. And if that happens, he'll be taken to the area of Attock, where he was actually held after the military coup of October 1999. What is certain is that many Pakistanis across the country will be watching Sunday evening's current affairs debate programmes. They'll be trying to glean as much information from politicians who'll be questioned at length about the current situation here in the capital. One thing that is for sure is that Nawaz Sharif is coming home. Sohail Rahman, Al Jazeera, Islamabad.
Of all the places, Israeli police say that they've arrested a cell of young Israeli neo-Nazis. 8 immigrants from the former Soviet Union, aged 16 to 21, were detained. A 9th has already fled the country. The group's accused of carrying out a number of attacks against foreigners, religious Jews and drug addicts. It's the first such cell to be discovered in Israel. From Jerusalem, Mike Hanna has this report.
It is in Israel almost unthinkable. A neo-Nazi group operating in a state that was founded in the wake of the Holocaust. 8 individuals appearing in court to be officially remanded while the investigation continues. They were arrested a month ago, but details of the case have only been made public now.
All of the individuals that have been arrested are from Russia. They moved to Israel over the last several years, being in between the ages of 16 and 21. They are in fact not Jewish. However, they came to Israel based on the law of return as their family, grandparents or great-grandparents were Jewish.
The investigation into the group's activities began following the desecration of a synagogue in the suspect's hometown of Petah Tikva, east of Tel Aviv, a year ago. According to police, the group operated on an ideological as well as operational level and had connections to neo-Nazi groups outside Israel. And during the investigation, this video footage was found, allegedly filmed by the suspects themselves. It displays a number of brutal beatings. The individuals targeted, say police, ranging from those wearing skull caps to people the group regarded as homosexual or as drug addicts. The 8 will be charged with causing bodily harm and the sabotage of synagogues. Although denial of the Holocaust is a crime in Israel, there are no legal provisions concerning neo-Nazi activity, something the police believe should be remedied.
We are requesting that the actual law itself should be changed, not the denial of the Holocaust that took place, but a law which is involved in neo-Nazism, in neo-Nazism, both being active as well as ideologically taking place here in Israel.
The investigation into neo-Nazi activity has not ended with the arrest of these 8 individuals, according to police. One senior officer says while it is difficult to believe that Nazis could exist and operate in Israel, it is now proved to be a fact. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Jerusalem.
In defiance of Hamas, many shops, schools and businesses across the Gaza Strip have closed as workers observe a one-day general strike. It was called by the Palestinian Liberation Organization after Friday's crackdown on outdoor prayers by Hamas. Our Gaza correspondent Noor Ode explains.
It's Sunday, but Gaza is still living the fallout of Friday's violent events where Hamas's executive force used force to stop PLO supporters from holding open-air prayers in implementation of a Hamas decision to ban these prayers, which Hamas accuses of being politicized. The Palestine Liberation Organization responded by calling for a general strike, and the level of adherence to this strike has been quite impressive given the fact that it is voluntary. The commercial center in the Gaza Strip has been all but paralyzed. Schools, hospitals and lawyers have all adhered to the general strike in a statement of support to the PLO and also in a show of concern to the level of violence employed against leaders, journalists and ordinary people alike. Let's listen to one leading human rights activist who shares these concerns.
We are very concerned to what happened last Friday because the way that the militants of Hamas treated people is very severe, and we cannot accept this, and it is unjustified.
Hamas insists that this strike did not succeed and accuses those who adhered to the PLO call for a strike in Gaza of working against the national interest of the Palestinian people. Leaders, however, in the PLO have said that this strike is a peaceful way of trying to bring back Hamas to the democratic Palestinian national movement, as one senior PLO member put it to me earlier in the day. Regardless the rhetoric, though, this seems to be a continuation of a showdown between Hamas and the PLO factions about who's boss here in Gaza and who has the upper hand. Noor Ode, Al Jazeera, Gaza.
Afghan President Hamid Karzai was rushed away from a ceremony in Kabul after gunshots were reportedly heard in the area. Karzai was giving a speech at a sports stadium when he was suddenly ushered off the stage by his bodyguard. A government official later said that police had fired into the air to control the restless crowd outside the arena. The US has issued a stark warning to Eritrea over its alleged support for terrorism. The US Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Jendai Fraser, says that Eritrea is undermining security in the Horn of Africa and is harboring so-called terrorists. She warned that Washington would take necessary actions if it didn't stop. Eritrea has repeatedly denied those accusations. Counting is underway in Sierra Leone as the country anxiously awaits the results of Saturday's runoff presidential vote. Officials say the election passed off largely peacefully despite a tense electoral campaign. Vice President Solomon Barewa is up against opposition leader Ernest Koroma. Results are expected on Monday. The United Nations Secretary General has condemned the recent escalation of violence in Algeria. Ban Ki-moon says he's deeply shocked and saddened by Saturday's attack in the coastal town of Dilis and the bombing in an eastern town that happened 2 days earlier. The attacks threaten the president's efforts to bring stability to the country and are a grim reminder of the 1990s violence. Here's Bernard Smith.
Twice in 3 days, Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb has struck Algeria with devastating effect. 28 Coast Guard officers died here on Saturday in a suicide bombing. On Thursday, at least 20 people were killed in another suicide attack.